Welcome to Work is Good, a CSM podcast. My name is Landon and I host this show with my dad, Chris Buteau, the owner and president at CSM. This week's branding episode is a short summary of some of my thoughts on why the CSM brand is going to win. A quick note before I start, this episode is about branding a mortgage company specifically because that's all I really know, but I think the thought exercise will translate to other products and services as well. So the title of this podcast is Why the CSM Brand is Going to Win, and that's sort of in jest, sort of not. If we didn't think our approach to building our business would help us win, well, we would probably be taking a different approach. But we're not taking a different approach, so we really do think the CSM brand is going to win. So I could just title this Our Approach to Building Our Business, but that's too boring and I want to win. I want to beat the competition, so that's what I titled it. In this podcast, I'm going to give a few reasons I think our brand is going to win. Now, I say these reasons with two things clearly in my mind. First, I just graduated college last May. I'm 23, I didn't study marketing in college, and I only sort of studied business. In other words, I say these things with a massive dose of humility, fully expecting to change some of these approaches in the years to come, fully expecting some of them to be flat out wrong. But the second thing that's clearly in my mind is that I'm dang excited about the future at CSM. And a lot of that has to do with the principles I'm about to list. I think we're going to win, and I think these principles have something to do with that. And I'm okay with the fact that some of them may sound like nonsense from some kid in over his head, and actually be nonsense from some kid in over his head. And the reason I'm okay with that is because some of them, I hope, will sound like nonsense from some kid in over his head, and will turn out to be great ideas and decisions down the road. First, I like our goal in marketing better than the goal of most mortgage companies in marketing. Our goal is to lead more people to do more business with us. Okay, that part isn't the interesting part. The reason this goal matters is because it leads you to ask a few key questions that need to be answered in order to accomplish that goal. I'll list those, but note that it's only numbers 2, 3, and 4 that really get me excited and make me think we can beat the competition. First question, in order to accomplish that goal of leading more people to do more business, is which people will benefit from this particular product or service? Again, that's not going to set you apart. Everyone knows that, but it's a key question. Second, what beliefs, feelings, and experiences lead those people to purchase this particular product or service? Asking this question is really important, and our answer to this question is what gets me excited, which I'll get to in a second. The third question you need to ask is what actions and messages most efficiently and effectively create those beliefs, feelings, and experiences in those people. Right, so going back to the second question, if you want to create a particular belief, feeling, or experience, once you've identified what those beliefs, feelings, or experiences are, you then ask what actions and messages on our part most efficiently and effectively create those. And that's another piece of why I'm excited in our answer to that. And then lastly, what are the most efficient and effective methods to perform those actions and communicate those messages? So once you've identified those messages and actions that you need to perform and communicate, then what are the most efficient and effective methods? This gets really specific platforms, specific communication styles and opportunities. All right, so the first reason why I think the CSM brand is going to win is because we're asking the right questions. The second reason I think we're going to win is because we know that people buy mortgages more than any other reason because of the person they're working with. If you're decent friends with someone and you know that person is a mortgage lender, you are 99.99% likely going to get your mortgage from that person. Most people in that situation won't even shop around. They won't question the lender's pricing. They'll just go with their friend, the lender. That's in part because most people intuitively recognize that the most important quality in a lender is trustworthiness, which I'll get to later. Mortgages are complicated and involve big numbers, and trust matters more than anything else. It's easier to know that a person is trustworthy than it is to know that an organization is trustworthy. So here's why this matters, and here's why I think knowing this is going to help us win. Because to put it simply and briefly, we're going to make CSM a person. We're going to tie the CSM brand so closely to one person, that person being Chris, my dad, our CEO, that you can't hear or see anything about CSM without thinking of Chris. If you like Chris, you like CSM. If you like CSM, you like Chris. In our messaging, we aren't going to worry too much about communicating the other reasons that determine where people buy a mortgage, things like price or convenience. Those are important things and we do them well, but the fact that people trust the person behind their mortgage is infinitely weightier in this decision. So that's where we're going to put our marketing and branding energy. All right, but the question is, how do we make lots of people like Chris? That leads to reason number 3 here, that the CSM brand is going to win, which is that we recognize that individuals such as Chris typically develop strong recognition and following by doing the thing they're best at in front of a lot of people using a medium that is effective. I'll say it again. Individuals such as Chris typically develop strong recognition and following by doing the thing they're best at in front of a lot of people using a medium that is effective. You see tons of loan officers out there trying to become a strong and widely recognized brand by just putting tons of content out there about whatever they feel like talking about. I'll first note that I don't think that's a bad thing to do, and we're doing it to some extent. And I'll also note that if that is what you are best at doing, if you have the gift of gab and people just care about your opinions on everything, which is some people, that is how you would build a strong brand. But for most loan officers and mortgage professionals, it's not what they're best at doing. We've realized that what Chris is best at doing, and truly probably one of the best in the world, is giving sound mortgage advice. And there's a massive demand for that on YouTube. So we've identified his strength and we've identified a good platform where he can do it in front of lots of people. So we're going to obsess over that and grow his brand there. In case you're going to call my bluff on that and check our YouTube, I'll be the first to tell you that I'm excited about our growth, but that was a recent pivot and we're only just getting started there. There are other things on the horizon, but I'll leave that out. I'll leave it here for now on this point. The next reason we're going to win is because although we think education is an important tool for us and for our consumers, we recognize that it's impossible to fully educate most consumers about mortgages. Why does that make us optimistic about winning? Because we realize that at some point people are going to have to trust their mortgage professional rather than their own knowledge. This goes back to one of the 4 marketing questions, identifying what beliefs, feelings, and experiences lead people to purchase our service. Again, we really believe that the main answer to that question is trustworthiness, not the ability to remove any questions, which is what a lot of mortgage companies are out there trying to do in their marketing. So because we realize that, I feel like we have a leg up in where we put our marketing energy. The end goal is not just to educate borrowers, although that is one of the good goals. And the end goal is not to show that we have the best borrower experience and pricing, although we do. The end goal is to build up a sense of trustworthiness so that borrowers give us the chance to serve them. The next reason we think the CSM brand is going to win is that once we are able to build up demand for our brand using the principles above, we'll then be able to put the energy of individual loan officers towards being loan officers rather than salesmen. Under most models in our industry, loan officers spend half of their time worrying about business development. They spend their time and energy learning marketing and sales and business development rather than putting all their energy into learning mortgage, and they end up mediocre at both. If our loan officers don't have to worry about their own business development, they can become the absolute best at mortgages, which does matter. How well you understand the minute details of particular mortgage products and how those apply differently in every borrower's situation really matters. It makes the difference of being able to save borrowers and other industry professionals thousands of dollars and massive headaches. Or even more impactful, it makes the difference of buyers being able to get the house they want. Lastly, we recognize that God owns our business and we pray and work accordingly. If we can build a house, it will be because the God in whom we have faith is the one who really built the house. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Thanks for listening to Work is Good. If you enjoyed it, share it, leave a review, and listen next week.